Hello and welcome to Dave and Ryan review, and Jack review. This week we're going to be talking about, I guess, one of another favourite of ours. I think a classic comedy film, Ace Ventura. But before we get to that, how's everyone doing? How you doing, guys?
Good man, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Looking forward to this. It's a bit of a late call for you, Jack. So I appreciate you joining us and jumping on. But I think you like us love this one. But
Yeah,
yeah,
when Dave said you were doing this one, I was like, yeah,
yeah,
yep, I'll jump in. I'll jump in on this one.
absolutely. Dave, how you doing?
I'm good. Can we just confirm it's actually both films?
Are we doing both? Are we? Okay, yeah, we can do both.
That's what
Yeah, yeah, we can do
that's what
both.
I thought.
Absolutely, we can do
To be
both.
honest, all right. That poses the question: which one did you think we were doing?
I thought we were doing
Because
the
on my
first one,
which is the first one?
Pet
Pet
Detective.
Detective.
Is it okay? That's
Yeah,
actually my favourite one.
yeah. I think I think the
Yeah, look, I
first one
can
is a.
tell
I
Jack.
think the
Jack
first
is the other one.
I think the first one is
I,
is a better film, but I think the second one has harder laughs, like funnier laughs, if that makes sense. Because it's like you got the rhino bit, you've got the what a lovely room of death, and all of those ones. Um, and I think his little rant when he goes and he does his spiel after he breathes. I think that is funnier, but I think as a film, the first one actually is a better film. I think.
Yeah, I love both of them. They're on a par, really. But if I had
Both
to,
absolutely hilarious. Don't get me wrong. Like
yeah,
there's I don't think
Jack's
this
got
really
that
is a
look
bad
like,
call.
nah, nature
no,
calls
no,
is
no,
so
no,
much
no,
funnier.
no. No, I love both, and actually, I think if you told me to pick which one was my favorite, I don't think I could pick. Like, that's why I'm kind of glad that we're kind of talking about both
Mm,
because for me, I can't talk about one without talking about the other.
yeah,
However,
because
there are so many elements in When Nature Calls that I love
yeah,
and that just get me.
because it
But
really
but
does.
then there's so many times in Pet Detective too that
Yeah, because I think in the second one they ramp up a lot of his insanity, like really takes it to another level with, he rolls
Yeah,
the car like a glove and he parks the car. Whereas obviously in the first one he just sort of does a little 360 and parks the car. In this one he's literally the car's exploding into the spot and he's like a glove, and it's obviously they take it
and
to the next
the
level.
talking out of his bum bit in the first one is just like to his friend, and then the second one it's like to all the animals, isn't it? And it's
Mm.
like
And
I can't remember the song.
even in
What's the song now?
which one?
of what
Which song?
When he's singing out of his bum in the second one.
Oh, is it the Hills? Not the Hills Are Alive. What was he singing? I can't remember what he sings in the second one.
I don't think there is a song.
Isn't
He
he
just
like
he
calling to the
goes,
animals? Isn't he like
yeah, he just
standing on a
animals,
branch?
quadrupeds, lend me your ears.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just does a little Tarzan
I
scream.
was just thinking about the second one as well. Is just a really stupid moment when he's in the car and he's like pretends he's bouncing along the road. He's like, whoa, and then it sort of zooms out a bit and the road's it's just a road. It's just it's just a normal road.
The guy's just looking at him next
You're
to
like,
him,
what is wrong?
like,
Like,
what the
what is wrong?
hell?
It always gets me, that bit. Just such a silly little moment, but
Yeah.
it always gets me.
Do you, I don't know how you want to sort of structure the review.
I don't. I
If you
think
just
it's
want
just. I think we
to just
just talk
talk
about
about it.
all. Yeah, I think we just talk about both, like just funny bits in both, just because I think they're both hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Jim
Yeah.
Carrey at like the peak of his powers, um, just absolutely insane, and just like this the second one as well. Again, I just the where he gets throw me a spear, and and it just goes so deep in
Ah!
the bone. It's
Yeah.
just so funny. It's
Yeah,
in the bone. It's in the bone. Like amazing.
Well, I stuck the first one on today, and just the opening scene where he's being the UPS guy, or in this one it was
It's a great introduction to
Yeah.
it, really,
it
isn't it?
comes in and he's kicking the box around, and he's he's just smashed it to bits, and the guy's like, sounds broken. It's like, oh, I'm sure it was something lovely, sir. And he's like, and then he switches the dogs, and the guy runs after him, smashes the car up, and all of that is, turns the engine on. It's alive.
And he does
Just
like a
all,
like a weird like laugh or something. Like it's crazy. Like
and
he
then he's like barking at him and biting his hand, and just flicks the glasses up. That's the opening scene. So the energy's so good in it, and he just like, okay, next scene, and then ended up
It's
watching the whole
the
film.
next scene is when he's like going back to his apartment, isn't it? And he's like, Ventura. He's like, Satan. Like
Yes,
Satan.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry.
sir, you sounded like someone else.
see, I have to give. I think the intro
Mm,
in Pet Detective is better. I mean, when Nature Calls is more, it's the cliffhanger
yeah.
sort of piss take, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Where he's got the raccoon and he's doing that, he drops him, sort of thing.
Oh
But then,
yeah,
yeah, so I think the intro in Pet Detectives is probably is better than that one. But then obviously once he's at the kind of like the shaman temple in the second one after, and he's sort of like with all like the Buddhists,
Oh, yeah.
and you know, and they're happy that he's leaving and something. It kind of leads on to that. But no, definitely the intro in Pet Detective, I think, ups it a
yeah.
little bit.
Also, the introduction to his apartment with no animals in it, and then when they all come out, and you have, you got to think there's no CGI in that, and they've got raccoons and otters and penguins.
When I watched it recently, I just thought, man, that place must stink.
Yeah,
Like it probably, you go to someone that's got like a dog, and it's like bloody hell, smells like a dog in there. Uh, like if
just
it's
had
got,
like squirrels and rats
yeah,
and
that's
all
what I mean.
sorts.
It must have absolutely reeked that place. But no, it's a great bit again, just so funny.
Him
Uh,
just standing in the middle of the room as
like,
well, like,
oh,
oh.
so good. And then obviously in the first one, I feel like the first one's why he gets called in to help with, is it Snowflake, isn't it? Snowflake gets
Yeah,
taken,
Mhm.
and just his whole introduction, like our introduction to him again in the, it's like, oh, we've got this pet detective, and then he gets into that tank, and he's just doing the whole Star Trek thing, like like it's just so funny. Like again, just well, Captain's log, and he's just doing this whole bit in the,
just just looking around,
yeah,
like
just looking around. He's not doing. He's not.
couldn't just normally get in there and just have a little look around, but oh, there's nothing here.
Like it's
So
this
like,
guy's.
I,
It's like they just went, "Hey Jim, you got to look around." Like I bet in the script it said, "Look around the fish tank" or something. Like that's what it
yeah.
said. And then Jim Carrey just takes it to another level of
I
just
mean, that's the
absolute
thing, isn't it,
insanity.
with Jim Carrey is that he does so much off the cuff,
Yeah.
ad lib stuff. Do you know what I mean, you've seen it, so I'm sure people have sort of seen all the cut scenes in like Liar Liar
Mm.
and stuff like
yeah,
that. And, like people just trying to keep straight. I mean, I don't know. There's no way I could work with the guy
Oh,
that's
because
it.
there is no way I could keep a straight face
That's
while he's
exactly what
just
we were
going off
saying.
on tangents.
Yeah, we were saying that. It was like, how can you act around him? Because he's so
No,
animated. He's so much.
he's just
But
saying
yeah,
ridiculous things, and he's doing like these mannerisms or like biting at people or doing all this weird stuff. And like you said, how can you keep a straight face? Like how?
there's in Pet Detective where he goes with Monica to that big fancy party, and she's like, "Don't embarrass me," and he just does all those noises, and then that guy opens the door. Yeah, he's like, "Hi, Captain Scooby," and he like
welcome
does like a
aboard.
little. He does like a little bark in his ear.
He's like, "Ah!" Like he's just like, and the guys got to stand there like and close the door. Like everyone's got to play it straight, otherwise it would just be really silly. Like if everyone was like joking around the same as him, and it's just and then when he's in the party, and he gets out of the he gets out of the bathroom. And then he's like sneaking around, and every time he does it, he jumps over the little fence, does like 3 steps, and then jumps back over, like he just did some amazing, like, and it's
Yeah,
just
it's
like again, like
James
Mission
Bond move.
Impossible.
yeah, like he did some amazing move, but I always just think, I bet it just said, "Oh, Ace sneaks around the corner or something," and Jim Carrey's like, "Oh, this fence is really funny. Let me just do something." Like he's really like the character of Ace is just insane. If you actually you actually think about this guy, he's absolutely insane. Um,
Yeah.
but it's just, and in in the second one, he gets called into what's it? It's for the bat, isn't it? It's the bat that's missing.
Yeah, yeah.
Chicago.
The great
Shikaka.
white bat.
Yeah. So that's the yeah. So I think again, I think Snowflake, and then it obviously because it's linked with the Dolphins, the American football team and stuff. I just think yeah, I like that setup more.
The other bit I always find funny is when the guys are translating for him, and he's like, "Did you just refer to me as White Devil?" He's like, "So leave that
This
part
how
out."
they he's like, this how they know you.
That's good, isn't it? That's the so yeah, that's the thing that both of them they just and it came out quite soon after each other. I think it was maybe a couple of years, wasn't it? I think one came out in
Mm.
'94 and the other one maybe in '96. I think. I think.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame we didn't get a third, a couple of years after. But
I remember there was talk of like doing an Ace Ventura Junior or something
There was.
horrific.
There
yeah,
was one that
there
came
was,
Oh,
out.
there
Yeah,
was a kid one.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
I think I watched it once, but no, obviously not even close on
I
par.
remember
Like,
there was a TV show, wasn't there as well?
There was a cartoon show.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
cartoon.
actually
That
the
was
cartoon
decent.
was actually
Yeah, it was
pretty good.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was fine. The monkey was a bit more involved in the in the cartoon, but yeah.
Spike.
But yeah, no, and I'm just thinking of the in the first one when is it Roger Podacta gets killed,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and in
thrown
that
over the balcony.
and obviously everyone's laughing at him because he's just like he's he's like well we squash a bug and they're all just making fun of him and you're like he's like oh I'm really out of my depth. However, and it's like, are you sure you heard it? Yeah, I heard him scream. It's like, well, how could you possibly have? And then he's, ah, ah, like it's just brilliant and just kills these guys completely. And you know what's funny? Obviously, knowing who the bad guy is, you watch the bad guy in these scenes, and you're like, and you see them react like, damn it, bloody Ventura. Like you can just tell is it because now you know that person is. I don't know why I'm talking around it. It's bloody 30 years old. The the
Spoiler.
Einhorn. You can see her reacting to the fact that uh, Ace has sort of put a hole in the investigation in the fact that he didn't kill himself and yeah. So just amazing scene again. Like he plays himself down and then just blows him away. It's just such a funny
There's a
moment.
there's a really funny bit where he's worked out that the ring, the stone in the ring,
Oh,
and he's going after all the guys with the 84 ring, and it's like a
yeah.
little compilation. That bit is hilarious where he chloroforms the guy running, gets punched in the head.
he dressed up like a little kid and he's like,
Yeah, and he's does the arm wrestle and gets flown across the room. He's
he gets
like,
punched in he gets punched in the head and like counts the
The
stones
Yeah.
on his
stones,
forehead,
doesn't
doesn't he?
yeah, all of that is so funny. And the guy in the toilet, he has a look and he's like, "Ooh," and he runs after him. Just really, there's so much humor in both of these
Yeah.
films, and I've met quite a few people, and I'm gonna call them out and say people say they don't find him funny or
What?
don't find. I just don't get it. I met someone today who went, "No, nah, it's not funny." I just don't get how you don't find it funny.
That
I don't get it.
that is genuinely astonishing. Just
I
because
know me and Jack have know somewhat or knew people who've said to us that, "Oh, don't get Jim Carrey." Oh,
what?
I'm not ashamed to admit that, like, since I've watched this film, a couple of decades ago,
Mm.
I still quote things in
Mm.
those films, just in general life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I will just come out with like a little quote, and when someone doesn't get it, and when people have seen the film and they get it, and you just little smile, like, yeah, like
Yeah, it's just
Well,
stuff like
but
like
little
oh, what
mannerisms
a
and
lovely room
stuff
of
as
death.
well.
It's like that one is like
Really,
yeah, and all just
all those sort of things.
loser.
Well,
Like,
I got told today that when I've parallel parked, I've gone like a glove, and I was like, oh, do I? I don't even know that.
it is just there's so many of these. I just find that insane. That so you could not even like titter, like even go, that's pretty funny. Like it is so funny, the film,
Yeah,
and both of them very very funny films. Um, yeah, so I find that's very odd. If you didn't find those funny, um, the bit even uh, two bits actually. One when obviously it's she he sees so he thinks he hasn't got any leads and he sees the poster on Monica's I say Monica um Courtney Cox's wall and he's like, who's that? And he's like, oh, that's what's his name?
Yeah, Ray Finkel.
Ray Finkel. Was like, well, hang on, so I haven't seen this. Oh yeah, this
He's
he
like,
got
no,
added.
not that guy.
He
Who the
added,
hell is that?
and he's like, yeah, he got added later on in the season, and he missed the kick. And then he goes to the house, and he's like, hey, I'm looking for Ray Finkel.
And a clean
New
pair
pair
of
of shorts.
shorts.
And the shotguns in his face. It's so fun, and the timing is so funny. It's perfect. It doesn't change his face at all. It just the gun goes into his face, and it's just so good.
The little football.
what was your second bit?
um, and then the following bit after that, when they go to the mental institute, and it
Yeah.
and he's just playing football. He's fully in character as this person. Put me in, coach. Like he's so believable because he just puts everything into it, and then it's amazing. It's incredible.
Leading off that bit is the bit where like the guy's like, oh, and that's the storage room, and he's like, halftime, and then he just smashes his face into the into the seat. And I'm like, that would have hurt so
You know
much.
what's you know what's a really funny bit that I'd never really but I saw when I watched it recently. It just again I didn't really remember it, but it's when he's in that storage room and people are coming in, and he's
He just
trying
tried to
to
hide in
hide
that
in
box.
the
In the
box,
box
and it's not even
doesn't matter.
close. And I think in the end he's just exploding out of the box, and they don't come in the room, and he's like, phew, like, like it was terrible, like awful hiding place. But he takes so long trying to get in this box, and it's not. Yeah, that again, just these little moments. I was just like, man, that is so funny, so good.
Did you guys happen to see the video I sent you
I
about
I thought I
Joe,
thought you might bring that up. I mean,
the Joe?
I didn't watch it, but I assume it's like not that it was controversial back then, but obviously like a bit now. It's like, oh,
He's just
why?
like it's such a. So for people listening, Joe Rogan did a thing about how transphobic the first one is because the reveal of Einhorn being Finkel, and then she's kissed everyone, and all the blokes are like spitting, and obviously, especially Ace is disgusted because he.
I mean,
Which is a really funny scene, you
And
know.
also earlier in the thing, is when he's like, "Is that your gun, or are you just happy to see me?" And obviously later on, you're really I'm like, "Oh man."
your gun is digging into my hip.
Yeah, that's it. Your gun is digging into my hip, and it's
Yeah,
like, oh, jeez. But
I
I think,
mean,
I
you.
think, I think people's reaction. I think it's a funny reaction because they realize, oh man, we've just been kissing this guy.
yeah,
I think it's one of those things because I'm sure you guys know. Like I was watching it one time when I was a kid, and my mum saw the bit when like he just worked out that
Mm.
Ray Finkel, that I Lewis
Finkel,
Einhorn is Ray Finkel,
Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel
and
is
then
I kissed a dick. Like he just, yeah.
exactly, and he's distraught about it, and he's in the shower and he's burning his clothes and he's
you're like,
He's
scrubbing his
like
face.
that.
no.
He's
Yeah,
like shaking in the shower and stuff. Like he's just
no, obviously I'm sitting there laughing my ass off, but my mum's obviously sitting, and she's like, "What? Why is it so upsetting for him that he kissed a man?" I'm like, "But mum." Like, do you know what I mean? But she's sort of seeing it from that point of view and trying to make that point. It's like, yeah, but come on,
yeah.
like,
It's obviously it's a funny joke, and obviously the joke is that obviously she was a very attractive, and obviously it is a woman. The actress Lois Einhorn is a woman, is an actual woman, and so it's like she's a very attractive woman. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm really into this, and he's probably having lots of inappropriate thoughts and feelings about her after their kiss and stuff, and so he was probably fully invested in, you know, uh, giving her the jungle loving like he did Courtney
Not-
Cox and that other woman and that in the thing, and yeah, so it's yeah,
It's
it's
one of those things, isn't it? It's just kind of like, yes, now I'm sure it would be frowned upon, sort of thing. But
but if anything, it was quite progressive to have such a character in a film 30 years ago.
yeah,
So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
it's
Because it takes him ages to work it out, doesn't it?
yeah, and it's really funny when obviously the reveal happens when he figures it out, he finds them with Dan Marino, and he's just like, well, what are these? And he's ripping her shirt off, and it's just like she's like, oh, they're just boobs. He's like,
Mr.
what?
Connect.
He pulls the skirt off, and he's like, oh my goodness, this woman's just in her underwear. Like, what have I done? Maybe I'm wrong. Because I think at that point he's like, oh, maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, how no one else then sees what that
Captain Winky.
got
Uh,
it tucked between his legs, apart from Dan Marino. It's like,
It says like my steam coloured Dan Marino has just informed me. Like it's really funny moment. And then
unless
again,
she's
it's
suffering from the worst case of hemorrhoids I
I've
have ever
ever.
seen.
And then on the way back, I think he's got the toothpaste, hasn't he, and the gum. He's just putting in loads of gum and toothpaste, and he's like, oh god, like they're just that was yeah. There's a really funny sort of ending to the because then he ends up. I think the ending of that he just beats up the parrot guy, doesn't he? The
Ah,
mascot.
for me, right, that bit cracks me up because it's right at the beginning is when he's trying to make money and he's got that advert to find the dove. And then you see the entire film, and then it brings it right back at the end where he's at the game and they got Snowflake back and Dan Marino, and all of a sudden that white dove lands on the cooler, and it just brings it all the way around. And obviously, yeah, the guy in the parrot costume
Just
like fluffs
moves
it
it
away
away.
from it. And for me, the bit that always catches me and makes me laugh is when he then goes and the parrot guy pushes him, and he's like, really, and then just swings his right hook
Doesn't the head come?
right
Doesn't
into his
the head moves and stuff? And it's like it's a really good
cracks me up.
punch.
Like he punches the hell out of this guy in this suit, and that just
It's a great
yeah.
shot. It's a great shot from him just to hit him so hard. So yeah, it's a really funny ending.
Yeah, it's such a good film. I just watched it. Finished it about half an hour ago. So good. You're just watching every scene. Um, I was just thinking of probably one of my favourite scenes in the second one is the Mr. Monopoly guy, you know, and activist, yes, like that. The way he does that is so funny. And then the way he just punches him and knocks him out.
He's so knocked out as well. That guy. It's
Just dancing with him on his shoulders.
la-da-dee, la-da-da.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
And the other guy is just like, I thought you're a lover of all animals, Mr. Ventura. Eat them. Such a kid.
It was so funny, and I always go back to the when he's when he meets when he goes to the tribe and he's like Shikaka, and then they're getting down Shikaka and Chicago, you're out of here. Like it's just
Shawshank Redemption.
yeah, yeah. What else he says? It's like, shish
Shish
kebab.
kebab.
I think that's the thing is I think he's kind of like the 30-year-old child
Mm,
that you kind of want to be.
yeah, he's just messing with these guys so much, and it's so good. And then I'm trying to remember how does he work? Oh, how does he work out? Is it because of
The guano, isn't it?
the
It's the
guano?
guano.
The great white bat has great white guano.
Oh, because he saw it on his yes, and he saw it on his shoe, and it's in the cave, and yeah.
I'm trying to remember like what happens. Yeah, because I can remember moments of when nature calls, but I'm trying to remember like the bulk of the film because it's like
Well, he goes there, doesn't he? And they tell him that they need to find the bat. So then he sort of does his little investigation. He finds the little black feather underneath the
Mm,
cage in one of the tents where the bat was taken. He tracks that back to that the collector guy. So he thinks it's him with his little black raven because that's what he
mm,
sort of tracks it back to. But then
oh,
then
how
he's
on
got all the
earth?
other animals,
doesn't
and
that
it
guy
turns
end up
out to
getting having sex with a gorilla?
that's
no, that's
the
the main
well,
guy,
no,
isn't
that's
it?
that's the main
Yeah,
guy, yeah. But
yeah,
then
yeah.
obviously they track it back to the two poachers,
Mm.
and then the poachers were hired by the guy that hired him, and then it all sort of tied back to that. You found out it was all to do with the guano, and by taking the bat, he then has control of the caves. So
Because the
I
guano
think
is
a
yeah,
multi-million-dollar industry.
yeah.
you touched on it earlier, Ryan, and I
Mm.
think it's only fair we give it its due attention,
What?
and that's the rhino scene.
Oh my goodness.
Probably that could be arguably the funniest scene in both films.
Yep.
The mother rhino's giving birth.
So, do you
You
want
said
to set this?
you set it up. Go for it.
Me set it up. I can't remember how it starts, but he's got a mechanical rhino, which does look really good. And he's got a fan in there, and he's getting closer to these two guys. I think one of the guys might be
It's the
the
guy with the
prison.
raven.
Yeah, isn't he the guy from Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
The warden.
Yeah.
the warden
Yeah,
guy.
so
Yeah.
he's getting close to them, and the fan just goes off, doesn't it? So he's getting really hot in there. He gets completely naked, and he's like dripping with sweat. He's just like, I need air because I think the power's gone or something. And then while this is all happening behind him, there's like a family, or there's like a tour guide, isn't there? And it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
on a
look, the
little
baby
safari.
rhino's about to give birth. And it's just, I mean, someone could take
he
over if
finds
you
a
want.
little hole. He just finds a little hole.
There's
And
a
he's just
couple
trying to bust out of it,
There's
doesn't
like
he?
a couple of fingers through it, and then it's like his hand, and then it's like two hands, and he's opening it. They're like, "Oh, look!" And then it's just like he starts like, and it's when he pulls his face through, he's like, "Ah!" Like,
Yeah, why don't you
there's no
make that
need for
noise?
it at
The
all.
roar.
Yeah, it's just, and he's sort
Yeah.
of trying to squeeze him, and he's got his both arms are like stuck in the thing, and his face is out, and it's absolutely disgusting if you actually if you're seeing it from the outside. And he's sort of slowly slipping out of this rhino, isn't he, from behind it? He's all sweaty, and he's like, and he and he sort of gets half his body out, and he's sort of like again roaring, just like like so bad, and he falls on the floor like crumpled in like a little, like all sort of squashed up like a baby on the floor. And I think doesn't one of them throw up on the? Doesn't the dad throw up or something?
The
The
dad's
girl
like,
screams.
Yeah, the girl screams, the dad's throwing up,
"Mommy!"
and it's just terrible. Because again, there's no need. If he was like, "Hey guys, I'm just getting out of this rhino, don't worry about me," but he's just like, just horrific.
I mean, from an outsider, it genuinely looks like a rhino just gave birth to a naked
Yeah.
middle-aged man.
So good.
Oh, such a good moment. Such a good moment. But yeah, two, and then obviously one of the other bits is I always think when they're doing the present. This is earlier on when he's doing the presentation. It's like, "Ew,
Oh, he's
ooh."
in front of the
know.
projector.
Yeah, he's doing it on the projector, like tweaking tweaking the guy's nipples on the projector screen. It's so childish. It's so childish, but it's so funny. It's such a good moment in that one. And then his rant as well. In that one where
When he solves it all.
that's what you slipped in. That's what
Oh,
caused the
yeah.
abrasion on your palm. Damn,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah,
Can you
so good.
feel that, Captain Compost?
Compost. The day of redemption is at hand.
Repent.
And thou shalt be saved. And it's just so good.
I'm
And he
just
does-
thinking about when he first meets that guy and he gets off the horse because he's been hitting it, and he just takes the guy's stick and hits him with it. And he's like, funny, it didn't seem that hard on the horse, or whatever. Just his little moments just keep you invested in every scene.
So good. Such a good.
I love Jim Carrey.
That's the thing. I mean, just in general on Jim Carrey, the mask was, and he did the mask absolutely hilarious. Like, even sillier, which you can't even, which is insane if you think about it. But even sillier in terms of the character than Ace. And he was just so funny. I actually liked some of his other films, but I think he's retired from acting now. I think.
He's 70 now, isn't he?
Is he 70?
What?
There's no way he's
No.
70.
I saw something earlier, isn't he not?
Is it?
Mate, that means he was doing Ace Ventura when he was like 50 years old.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Is he 70?
No, I think that was an
Oh,
absolutely atrocious comment to
he's
make.
61. Sorry,
Oh,
61.
I was
okay.
about to say. I was like, whoa.
I saw
Um,
no, I saw like a meme earlier or something. Or it was him talking to the camera, and I think he said I'm 70, but I think he was obviously lying.
you know what's insane? I'm just looking at his profile here. They released. He starred in Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, all in 1994.
Really? Did
Yeah,
all of them?
all in 1994. And Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, came out in 95.
95, yeah, straight away.
So straight away,
Wow.
and then it was Batman Forever, and then Liar Liar was in '97. He's just been in so many funny
I
films.
mean, that was just kind of like his peak, wasn't it? And then
It's insane.
he kind of went on to the more,
Did some more.
I say serious, but just kind of comedy films like what was one with Jennifer Aniston? Like Bruce Almighty.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean where it's funny, but it's not kind of slapstick sort of.
It feels
One of,
like
one of
you.
my
It feels like you could have put another person in that role,
Yeah.
and
Well, like
they.
Truman Show, that
Yeah,
was quality.
yeah.
that's
Truman
one of my
Show.
favorite.
Oh yeah,
That's one of my
absolutely.
favorite.
When did that come out? Truman Show.
98, I think.
'98. Jack, you wanna. Oh
So
yeah.
is
No, '98.
the 98, was it?
Absolutely. Cable Guy was in there.
Cable Guy.
See, Cable Guy at the time I didn't love because
Mm.
it was so different from the Jim Carrey we were used to. But over time, I think it's all right.
I'm a big fan of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, you love that, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I really like that one.
But that's a very, but yeah, that's not like a
It's not a funny
comedy. I mean,
film. No, it's not.
no,
It's not a comedy at all. But it sort of showed he's a bit. I think in that it showed he's a bit more like Robin Williams, because
mm,
obviously Robin Williams did serious films as well, right? Especially later on after his, because they had I guess they had a similar energy, that kind of just chaotic, like amazingly funny energy where they're just non-stop, non-stop, non-stop. Obviously different performers, but they had that kind of that energy, and then they managed to sort of focus it into something more serious. Obviously Robin Williams is in one of my other favorite films, Good Will Hunting, and he's amazing in that. He's incredible, but it's not the guy that was like nanu nanu, and doing all the funny voices, and he's the blooming genie in Aladdin and stuff. So yeah, it's just crazy um, how versatile the guy is. And he did.
Mm.
Did you ever see Sonic the Hedgehog?
oh yeah,
He was pretty funny in that. It was
I
pretty.
thought, yeah, I
I
thought
thought
he
he
was
was pretty
pretty good
fun.
in that.
Yeah, he was pretty funny
He
in
made
that
a
as well.
made a great Robotnik.
Yeah, I think he played it pretty well, especially. And I watched the second one. He was actually pretty good as well, pretty
Yeah,
funny, and he was one of the best things in the film. So no, very very funny guy. But yeah, I think he's now retired from acting, or I think anyway.
yeah.
Um,
Even like what was on the late like Yes Man that he
yeah,
did like a later
that was
film
a
like
funny
even
one.
Yes Man was
I
pretty
really,
good.
I love Yes Man. I love Bruce Almighty as well.
Yeah,
But that's obviously like not quite end. But yeah, Yes Man's really good. I remember you showed me that, Ryan, and you were like, "Have you seen it?" And I think we might have watched it together, and it was like, yeah, because it's still Jim Carrey, but it's a bit more
I feel like
like
he's more focused.
yeah,
Like they sort of focus him rather than just letting him loose and just doing absolute insanity. They sort of focused him into these more.
he,
yeah.
he stuck to the script.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I think that's probably it. In these ones, there was a lot more like, hey Jim, like you can do a little bit of your thing, but this is the story we want to tell,
Yeah, but then that
well, I
wasn't
think
really the context of the film, was it?
yeah,
To sort of be
yeah,
but in,
slapstick
in Yes
silly
Man,
and
he was miserable at the beginning, wasn't it? It's like
yeah.
he just didn't want to do anything with anyone, and that was the point. So then when he was saying yes and doing these crazy things, well, it wasn't that crazy, but it was just like
Out of his
he was
comfort
living. He
zone, and he
was
was yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
was living. It's like like the compilation of him like playing guitar or flying the plane. It's like it's not like wacky Jim Carrey, but it's fun. He's fun to see on screen.
yeah, absolutely. And he's just, yeah. There's just so much. just so many. Like you said, I think Jack, you were saying about quotable lines. I mean, there's just so many. Like,
Well, well, that's the thing for me.
across all of his work.
These films have stuck in my mind
Mm,
for years. Do you know what I mean? And a little while ago, you guys did kind of like your top 10, I
mm,
think it was, films. I've always kind of said that these two films I would put in my top 10 of all time. Like I love these films. Do you know what I mean? I've
Mm.
watched them year after year, sort of thing. Whenever they're on TV,
mm,
I'm always sort of I'll be like, yep, I'll watch a little bit of that sort of thing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I would easily put these two
They're
films in
very
my
good.
top 10.
They're good feel good films, aren't they? I quite enjoyed the Ace Ventura theme as well when I was watching it back.
Mm.
Dun, 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 all of that.
Yeah, no. The
Just
thing
that.
is, again, it's quite a short film as well. I think they don't stay
Mm,
around for too long. They're not trying to do anything other than just say, "Hey, isn't Jim Carrey one of the funniest people you've ever seen? Look at what he
mm.
can do." And and he's so funny in it. And yeah, like I'll always watch those films going forwards. I'll probably should probably show my daughter those films. Like they're so funny because I was just thinking, like, I just don't think they. I think it's hard. Obviously, it's like saying, "Hey, can you beat one of the funniest people that's ever lived?" Like, it's nearly impossible for anyone to try and do anything like that now because there isn't another Jim Carrey. There's no one even in that bracket, right? Of funny, for films anyway. Um, so yeah, it's just a different time. I just don't know if they make. Have you watched any funny comedy films recently? I don't think
Well,
I don't think I have.
nothing like that. And I think that's the thing with these films is that they don't. It's not like they age badly.
No.
Like I don't feel like there's anything in them where you would watch it now and be like, oh, how did we find that funny back? Like
No.
oh, it's not as funny now. Like no, it still
I
holds up. Like
I watched Superbad the other day, and that was really funny to rewatch that.
That's nearly.
Um,
I bet that's close to nearly 20 years old now.
yeah, but it's a different type of humor. It's not someone
Yeah.
being silly. It's effective. It's just like I guess it's a bit like the in betweeners, isn't it? It's kids at
Yeah.
that age
yeah,
doing silly things, and silly things are happening. But
Yeah.
there's not really films like with Jim Carrey that style. I was just
not,
thinking
not that I can think of anyway.
just thinking of that beginning bit where he saves the dog and takes it to the woman, and she's like, "How can I repay you?" And he's like,
Well,
"Well, the reward would be good. There's damage to my car. I filled up with gas." And then she just like makes out with him. It's like, "How about I take your pants off instead?" He's like, "Gee, let me think. Uh,
sure.
real friendly around here."
So now the question is, did we truly understand that as kids? What was
No,
going on?
not as a kid. Um, Definitely, I'm older. I'm like, fair play.
Well, as I'm older, I'm thinking, what was happening? Why was he swinging around so much?
She was crazy. If anything, I'm surprised he actually survived that whole encounter because she was very aggressive.
I'd love to have seen what was actually happening. Like she must have. Was he attached to like rope or something to be
Oh, what to
swung around?
actually
That?
make? I think he's on like a. I think he's probably on like a like a like a little tray or something that's just sliding about, and someone's pulling him around the underneath
Well, maybe.
just to make it look like that. But if in the world of Ace Ventura, in that reality, I am surprised he had anything left down there after that aggressive
See,
behavior by that
for
woman.
me, Dave, as you said, sort of about the music, when him and Courtney Cox
Oh my goodness.
get up, and obviously it does the Wimbleway song. Now, obviously, we love Friends as well. Now, I
Mm,
don't know about you, but when Ross has that song come on for
Yeah.
Marcel and that music plays, my mind goes straight back to Ace
yeah.
Ventura
Mm.
every time.
I'm pretty sure that it's meant in that way, though, isn't it? Because isn't Marcel like mating at the time or humping everything in sight,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then he turns it off. Yeah, he turns it off, and then like slams the door, and he's like, "I'm in trouble later." Okay, well,
So good. No, yeah. So
yeah,
great, great talking about that one. I think it's we enjoyed it. I don't think there's really any need to be like, oh, I wonder if they liked it or not. Um, um, so yeah, love that film. Maybe we could do, maybe we can do The Mask next, maybe, just because
Yeah,
another absolute classic of lines, more lines and more just funny faces and
yeah.
um,
You do
yeah,
I think you wanted to do the mask originally, didn't you? So
I think so. So yeah, I
it
wouldn't
turned
mind. I
into
wouldn't
this.
mind doing that. And Jack, obviously, if you were
Yeah,
available,
yeah, I'll be well up for that one. Yeah, yeah.
good. Yeah. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon. And yeah, thanks for joining us.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, all.